The city of Colombo is the executive and judicial capital of Sri Lanka. It was once also the legislative capital, with the parliament, now known as the Old Parliament Building and seen here, being located in it. The city is situated on the west coast of the island, just south of the Kalani River, and is a principal port on the Indian Ocean. Colombo Port is one of the largest artificial harbours in the world and handles most of Sri Lanka's foreign trade. In the 8th century AD, Arab traders settled near the site of the modern port. From the 16th century onward, the port was developed by the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the British, who each in turn established themselves on the island of Sri Lanka, then called Ceylon. The former two primarily ruled the maritime provinces, and the British, who succeeded the Dutch, ruled the entire island from the fall of the Kandyan Kingdom in 1815, when Colombo became its capital. Colombo has a rich history influenced by Portuguese, Dutch and British rule, which is reflected in its architecture, culture and cuisine. Colombo Fort, one of the 15 zones into which the Colombo city is divided, is a historic area with a blend of colonial-era buildings and modern offices. In this first of a series of videos, we will be looking at some of the old places and monuments that have survived to this day in the city of Colombo and stand as witnesses to the country's rich historical legacy. Located at the entrance to the Taj Samudra Hotel at Galle Face Centre Road in Colombo 3 and opposite the Galle Face Green is a stone milepost dating back to the British period. This prism-shaped distance marker is inscribed with the words 1 mile from the King's House on one side and this road made AD 1814 on another. King's House refers to what is presently called President's House, which is located 1 mile to the north in Janathipathi Mawatha, formerly Queen Street. From the words King's House, it may be inferred that it was constructed before or after the reign of Queen Victoria, who reigned from AD 1837 to 1901. Originally, distances were measured from what is now President's House, hence the words 1 mile from the King's House. The British built an extensive network of roads and railways, which was vital for the purposes of administration and transportation of economically important goods. Mileposts were erected to measure distances to major cities such as Kandy, Galle and Jaffna. The milestone was found discarded on the side of Galle Road and was re-erected at its present location in 1978 through the intervention of former President J.R. Jayawardena and stands exactly 1 mile from President's House. Another milestone carved out of stone is found at Dam Street in Colombo 12. The top of the pillar is arched and number 1 is carved at the center. No other special characteristics are found on this pillar. When the Kingdom of Kandy fell to the British in 1815, its king, Sri Wikrama Rajasinghe, was captured and brought to Colombo and detained there prior to removal to Vellore in South India in 1816. Where he died in 1832. It is popularly believed that the king was imprisoned in this little chamber for 1 year awaiting exile. It is situated on the premises of Silinko House in Colombo Fort at the intersection of Queen Street and Bank of Ceylon Street, and is a popular tourist destination. On the inside wall of the chamber from left to right are a painting of the king's tomb in Vellore. Portraits of the king's chief de guard, the king, the queen, and Governor Brownrigg. and a painting of HMS Cornwallis, the ship aboard which he was exiled to India. An inscription in Sinhalese and English to the left of the entrance to the chamber says that the king was temporarily imprisoned in this specific chamber in Colombo fort. There is a bust of the king in an alcove on the rear of the chamber. Beneath it is an inscription in Sinhalese and English, which basically confirms the inscription at the front of the chamber, though the two language versions are not identical. Though popular belief associates this chamber with the king's place of imprisonment, the academic view is that this is actually a modified form of a sentry box belonging to a barracks named Echelon, built by the British in 1875 for the garrison stationed at this location, and that the king was detained in an old Dutch house standing on what are now the premises of Sri Lanka House. A plaque at the rear of the chamber presents the academic view, crediting it to the late R. L. Brohier, writer and former Deputy Surveyor General of Ceylon. According to Gazette numbered 704 issued on March 15 of the year 1815, after the king was captured and brought to Colombo, he was detained in a house in the fort. The Gazette reads in part,
"On the Monday following, Major Hook with the detachment under his command escorting the late King of Kandy and his family entered the fort. He is lodged in a house in the fort which has been suitably prepared for his reception and is stockaded round to prevent any intrusion on his privacy."
This fact is corroborated by Henry Marshall, who was a medical officer who served in the British Army from 1808 to 1821. In his book on Ceylon he wrote,
"The prison or house provided for him was spacious and handsomely fitted up. He was obviously well pleased with his new abode, and upon entering it, observed, 'As I am no longer permitted to be a king, I am thankful for the kindness and attention which have been shown to me.'"
By no stretch of the imagination can the conditions of this little chamber match what Marshall wrote, and the king being imprisoned for 1 year in it is inconceivable. There are old plans and photographs showing that this chamber was indeed a sentry box attached to the British barracks at this location, and this, combined with the contemporary written evidence cited earlier that the king was in fact lodged in a house, proves beyond doubt that the king was not detained in this little chamber prior to exile to India. With this correction, this chamber could still be regarded as a sort of a monument to the detainment of the last king of Kandy by the British at this location. Located at the junction of Chatham Street and Queen Street is a square tower which rises from an open, arched base and is surmounted by a cylindrical lantern surrounded by a gallery. This is the iconic Colombo Fort Clock Tower, and the point from which presently distances from Colombo are measured. A plaque at the base of the tower declares that it was opened by the British Governor Sir H. C. Ward in 1857. The lantern has a dome-shaped roof, on which is mounted a weather vane, which does not work at present. The tower, which is about 96 feet tall, was originally constructed as a clock tower, to which was added a lantern at the top in 1865 so that it served the dual purpose of both keeping time for citizens and guiding seafarers in the Indian Ocean. It is said to be the only clock tower in the world with a lighthouse and the first clock tower to be built in Sri Lanka. The original clock of the tower, which was made by the same manufacturer as the Big Ben in London, was replaced in 1913 with the present clock. The tower is older than the Big Ben. The lighthouse was deactivated in 1952 after its light became obscured by nearby buildings and replaced by a new lighthouse at Gulbuck Point in Chaithya Road in the fort. This is known as the Gulbuck Lighthouse.